Let's look at some examples of research. As I close out some of these other windows, let's look at some examples of research. Here's one from the Journal of Applied Research in the Community College, JARCC, from 2009. The first year introduction program as a predictor of student academic performance. Here's the abstract, and remember how important I said the abstract can be. Right away, the very first sentence talks about hypothesizing what the hypothesis is and the research problem. Sometimes the hypothesis is stated in such a way that it just gives you the research problem. Right here, it talks about the subjects. I can highlight this article. There we go. See if I can try it. Nope. Okay. Well, it talks about the subjects. It talks about what the variables are, right in the abstract. And the very last sentence talks about what they found. And so in very few words, they gave all that information. So most journal articles are set up in the same format as the components of the research process that we've been seeing over and over and over again. The components of that critique questionnaire, that's how they're set up. They're all set up that way. It's completely standardized. The words might be a little different. They might use the word conclusion instead of discussion. There might be a theory section that comes after the literature review and before understanding what the research design is. So you can see that right here. Here's the introduction. Setting up the research problem, including a little bit of the research review of the literature in the introduction. As I scroll down, the next section is the methodology. So this author included the review of the literature within the introduction. Here's the methodology section talking about the hypotheses. If I go up a little bit, they're talking about all of the hypotheses, very explicitly stated in this article. The subjects, they're talking about the sampling method under subjects. You can see these statistics in here. They're using descriptive statistics to describe the sample, which is an important thing to do. One use of descriptive statistics in research. In the next section, they're laying out the variables. Here's the instrumentation section, data collection. This is how I've collected the data. That's instrumentation. Talking a little bit more descriptive statistics about that. And then finally the results. Talking about what the results were for each hypothesis that they stated above. And then the discussion section. This is a pretty short article. It's only 5 pages long. That's not typical. Giving some data, some inferential statistics in the form of tables. Talking about the applications of the results, so the consequences or the implications of the results. And lastly, future research. Recommendations for future research and some concluding paragraphs along with the bibliography. So it's one example. Let's look at another example. The 2 articles that need to be read for this article critique. You'll be picking one of these for the first article critique. This article comes from the Community College Journal of Research and Practice. 2009 it was published. Called Remedial Testing and Placement in Community Colleges. Here's the abstract. Again, very informative, short paragraph about what the research is about. Let me make this a little smaller so I don't have to scroll so much. So here is the introduction, setting up the research problem. It looks like the literature review has been included in this introduction section. Here's some more related literature on the topic, putting the current study in context. This article is 18 pages long. That's more typical for a published refereed journal. This is a 2009 article. You can see even as I scroll through that the journal is from 2000. The research is from 2005. The literature, 2004, 2003. Some late 1990s research, all within the past 10 years. Methodological limitations of current research. This is great. In this paragraph, the authors are setting up why their research was necessary and what the limitations are already. Data and methods. So here is the methodology section of this journal article. So they'll be talking about the variables. They're talking about their sample. Here's where the research took place. Here's where we collected the data. Here's the sample, the initial sample of students matriculating at Harper Community College. And they're looking at those who took Compass. They're providing descriptive statistics about the sample. Up here they provided ethnicity descriptive statistics. They provided other demographic information about their sample. Here is a picture of their model that they're going to study. This looks like the notation for an experiment. And indeed, you see the method that was used here, regression discontinuity, as a quasi-experimental design is employed. You don't necessarily have to know what all that means, but quasi-experimental design is an important thing to know. They're talking more here about the model. Here's the model that they are going to run in terms of data analysis. And they talk about their data analysis and their findings. Descriptive results and their inferential results. And you'll be able to read these as soon as we talk about inferential statistics. One more. Let's talk about one more. This journal article is from the I don't remember. Something about higher education. I can tell right up here. Called Baccalaureate Attainment and College Persistence of Community College Transfer Students at Four-Year Institutions from 2008. Again, here's the abstract. Setting up the problem, research problem, with the current literature. Here's the literature review. Here's more literature review, providing conceptual framework for the study. So you can answer the questions on the article critique in order based on how the standardized method for setting up a piece of research. And it doesn't matter if this is a journal article or a dissertation. The structure and the formatting are essentially the same. This is a very long literature review. This article is 20 pages long, which is typical. Here they are setting up the background in the literature for their variables, college involvement, academic performance, environmental factors. And now we get to the research methodology section. So here the author is explaining where he got his data, what type of method he is using to study this problem. Here's the sampling methods and descriptive statistics about the sample. In Table 1, you see the descriptive statistics related to all the demographics of the sample. I mean, it's laid out very clearly. Here are the variables, how they're measured. And you get the gist of this article. But these are the two articles that we're going to use for the first article critique. And that's it for Module 7.